I think if you look at the foot washing from John's Gospel, foot washing elsewhere in both Old and New Testament, it's consistently done by women, and yet Jesus takes that on. People often cast that as being the servant's role. It was the woman's role, and Jesus does it and becomes the woman at that point.
Oh my Lord. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is what appears to be a Catholic priest speaking to other Catholic priests. And the one thing that confuses me right off the bat is that there seem to be women in this panel wearing priesthood collars that are traditionally worn by men only in the Catholic faith. This is the first indicator that no one in this panel is a true servant of God, because the composition of the people having this conversation to begin with already strike me as fraudulent. Now, stepping away from that, let's address the blasphemy that came out of the mouth of the priest presenting his argument, shall we? He was addressing an occurrence that took place in John chapter 13, verses 4 through 7, where Jesus rose from supper and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. Then he came to Simon Peter, and Peter said to him, "Lord, are you washing my feet?" Jesus answered and said to him, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but you will know after this." Now, does this make the assertion that Jesus transgendered himself because he washed the feet of his servants? No, it absolutely does not mean that. For Jesus, it was a display of his humility and servanthood in forgiving sinners. Walking in sandals on the roads of Palestine in the first century made it imperative that feet be washed before a meal. People ate reclining at low tables, and feet were very much evident. When Jesus rose from the Last Supper and began to wash the feet of the disciples, he was doing the work of the lowliest of servants, not women. The disciples must have undoubtedly been stunned by this act of humility and condescension, that Jesus, their Lord and Master, should wash the feet of his disciples. Washing feet was more properly their work, but no one had volunteered for the job. Jesus came to earth not as a king and conqueror, but as a suffering servant of Isaiah chapter 53. He came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. The humility expressed by Jesus' act foreshadowed his ultimate act of humility on the cross. As always, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. If you want to become a channel supporter, you can always visit my Patreon page or pop into my Buy Me a Coffee page as well. Thank you especially to my supporters on both platforms. Also remember that the merch store is now open, and I'd love to see the merch out there in the wild. Always remember, guys, that tomorrow is not promised to anyone. Be safe, be good, be blessed, and most importantly of all, Jesus is King and the only way to heaven. Later, guys.